guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, yet again, we are discussing a weather theme that is coming our way. If you watched one of my videos I did before about thinking that the UK is falling apart and how much crap is coming constantly to the country and to the people, not just in UK, sorry, but mainly I'm talking for obviously America and UK because they're where the main viewers are from. It's basically the amount of stuff we constantly seem to be beaten down with either one thing or the other. And of course, we just got through the cold spell. We're still here and it's still been -4 the other night. So it's still very, very cold. And I know, guys, like many of you think, well, it's winter. Of course it's winter. Yes, it's cold. But to be fair, in all time, like in England and UK generally, we have not really been experiencing a progressive amount of cold spells that seem to be generally getting worse. For example, like we had at some places, we had like -10 or -15. This is kind of really unheard. So I know they all talk about like a global warming and things are changing, but it's certainly not getting any warmer anyway. So if you follow the news, if you are potentially aware that obviously we have the a polar vortex that's collapsed, and apparently we have tons of tons of snow coming our way, and of course it's going to go past the US first. Whether it's going to dump itself there or come to UK and dump later or do half and half, nobody knows. Technically, we know, especially in UK here, they can barely predict what is happening like in the weather right now, right here. However, they seem to be quite accurate with predicting what the massive things are happening and the big things and big systems that are coming our way. It did make me wonder, as I do generally, guys, and I'm always really honest with you. I don't do like a conspiracy theories or anything like this, but I try to basically just air my concerns and share my concerns with you. And we all know, if you do your research, or if you genuinely, you don't really have to do a huge amount of research, but about the government able to control the weather. And it's been going on since like the war times. They can control the clouds, they can bunch clouds together to make it rain, they can make clouds go away. In many countries, they use this scenario to basically shush the clouds off if they're doing the fireworks. So it's it's there in the open eye. Nobody's hiding this. Government's not hiding this. It's there out in the open. So if you want to have a look, there's old documents online. There's many things there to prove that basically the weather alternations have been happening for a very long time. And it just makes me wonder, when you have in a country that normally doesn't get a lot of snow or a lot of cold, where we constantly seem to be happiness and every year is getting worse, and now we're having that's like a second one literally this year, if you think, and depends obviously how big it's going to be, when they're talking about having a couple of inches of snow per hour landing when the snowstorm gets here. And apparently it's meant to be getting here by like 2nd of February. Of course, it's give or take day or so, and it's going to progressively get through the country slowly, and apparently we are going to have a delayed spring. So brings me back to this thing. Again, guys, we all know winter is winter, snow is snow, and rain, it's cold, it's absolutely. But when they mention like a delayed spring, the alarm bells are ringing. Delayed spring, do you think, okay, yes, so what? It's not a problem whatsoever, unless you are in agricultural industry or unless you are planning to grow your own stuff. And as we are as a preppers, and I've been encouraged more, a lot of you, or if you already haven't been doing it yourself, the growing your own fruit and vegetables for coming year, it's very important. So again, the non-realization of fact is, when we're having this prolonged cold spells, that things are going to be delayed. And I tell you, obviously, so far we had we had it for a week. We have a driveway that is still icy and slippery. I have my raised beds at the back that are covered in snow that I couldn't possibly even get the shovel in. So basically that means if we get another batch of the snow and the ice, this ground is going to be solid for absolute month. Even when we start having a warmer temperatures in spring, if we are lucky enough to have a nice spring, the ground is going to be rock solid or very cold to plant. So basically where we're going with this, it's because of the temperatures, sorry, I'm just like lost myself there. Basically, we are in the arms of the weather. And basically that means that delayed sowing or bad sowing results in a really bad crop. So for example, certain crops we can survive with, and they can survive the cold spells or delayed seedlings. So for example, if you see the carrots, okay, if the ground is frozen, you can't seed that, you can wait, because you have early varieties, we have late varieties, we can do that. So we can do this later, that's okay. We can do parsnips, it can be the same. There's early varieties to seed, so if that doesn't work, we've got the later varieties to sow later. However, things like the garlic and onions really are really crucial that you plan them at specific times. And yes, of course, they do have earlies and lates, but nonetheless, the cold and the cold soil will ruin the garlic. It's been numerous amount of times, guys, I've been planting when the season wasn't particularly the best, like onions and garlics, and they just rot away because we had a suddenly amount of rain for like a half a year, and it's literally drenched everything, and the crops just can't take it. So do you see what I'm getting with this? The whole thing, we have plans. I had plans for this year, but again, if we have such a massive delayed spring, if we have the whole February full of cold weather and snow falling, the ground will be too cold. So our job is basically as a preppers to try to think outside the box and try to prepare. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? Because again, I mentioned time again, we need to look ahead. We need to look ahead what is happening and trying to basically overcome the challenge that's been thrown at us by nature, government, whatever it is. Just we need to overcome this and we need to be ready. So my suggestion, guys, if you have an ability at the moment, if you don't have a snow on your ground, is basically simple thing is just cover your raised beds if you've got them, or cover the ground where you aiming to build a raised bed. Just put a tarpaulin, put a bit like an old carpet, anything just to protect it from extra bit of snow and extra bit of cold, because we want to start the season as early as we can. So we kind of want to make sure we warm up our ground whilst we can. You can buy many things like a ground warmers, but they are electrical, and to be fair, at the moment we don't really want to spend any electrical money on electricity just warming up our soil. If you can, that's great. Obviously, otherwise it's not particularly a cost-effective way. Like greenhouses, you can start in the greenhouse, which is absolutely fine. However, when the snow falls, it gets really dark in the greenhouse, and we had a -7 in the greenhouse before. So even if I bought a heater, which I don't have, because the heater themselves, the paraffin heaters, are really cheap, but to buy the oil is quite expensive, considering you have to constantly keep your greenhouse warm to basically make your seedlings grow. So usually I'll start my seeds, the tomato seeds, literally beginning of February, and it's okay if it's reasonable outside. A little heater will do the job. However, now, if we are going to have this massive cold weather, it's just not going to work. The seedlings are just not going to survive. So my option to you, my suggestion to you guys, if you are intending to plant this year, is, I should have this, but you can buy one of those, one of those internal lights for growing, okay? I've got one with the 4 arms, comes out there, and it basically mimics the sunlight. And you can put the sunlight in one windowsill, you can clip it on, puts a little bit like a tin foil as a reflection, because obviously when the things are dark outside, on the dingy days in the winter, you need extra light. So this is kind of bouncing back, and it kind of works. So this is something I will be doing, to be trying to be a step ahead once again. And of course, guys, really important is to rethink, because I had plans of what I was going to plan this year, but if we're going to have this massive delay because of the weather stuff, certain things I'm just going to miss the boat, and there's just no point. If you do your research online, and I'll help you with this, with some maybe gardening videos or planting videos, if you missed a certain point of certain plants, because in UK, I'm speaking for UK, our growing season is so short anyway, unless we have a magical summer without too many droughts and it continues into like September, October, you'll be okay. But generally, the season's very short, and some things you will just miss the boat. You will just miss the boat, and there's no point even seeding them if you know the winter going to come early, or we're going to have horrible autumn. It's just absolutely pointless. So you do your research to what you want to grow, and have a look at the sort of the time scales of how long the vegetables take time to mature, and sort of plan your crops around that. Really, it's unfortunately it's really hard to sort of think about that. They will have to consider that kind of thing, but generally it's just what it is, guys. So my step to you guys is just to be one step ahead, prep where you can. If you've got any questions, please comment below, and I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.